Flex Reads. So in today's video, we're actually going to do books I wish I could read for the first time. And I got a good amount because, yeah, I have a really good amount. Let's just get started, okay? So the first one, or the first two, because they're by the same author, is Donna Hill. Y'all know, I don't know how many times I talk about this woman, and I'm going to continue to talk about her, okay? But I first read Donna Hill last year, actually last September, and it was Rhythms by her because I remember I wanted to read this because it was set in the 1920s. And y'all know this Harlem Renaissance, my favorite genre ever, okay? And so I put this on there and was like flabbergasted. But I didn't realize after I read this that there was a sequel, right? And the sequel is What Mother Never Told Me. Now, I think I might I was thinking maybe do I like this a little bit better, but they're both good. I would say 5, because there is a scene with the daughter that just got me. These books, if you like Vanishing Half, you would like this. This is before Vanishing Half, okay? Y'all, please get into Donna Hill and read these two books. This is the first book, and then this is the second. This is the sequel. Unbelievable. Next is Passing by Nella Larson. This was my introduction into Harlem Renaissance. I had never, read anything that was Harlem Renaissance, and that was in 2021, and the ending of this book got me. First of all, the whole thing is just fantastic because I always say with Harlem Renaissance, it's so modern. There's sometimes I'm forgetting that I am reading a book that is set in the 1920s and 1930s. Colorism at its best. If you want to know and learn more about colorism, read this book. Any Harlem Renaissance book, but this is a good introduction to colorism and the meaning behind it and everything because, Clara, girl, that's all I have to say. Next is another Harlem Renaissance book, and this probably is my favorite. This is my favorite author from the Harlem Renaissance, and that is Jessie Redmond Fawcett. This is Plum Bun. I have 2 copies of this book. I actually have 2 copies of Passing too. This book, it was I can't even describe the feeling that I had when I first read this book, because especially towards the end, it was like a warm, fuzzy feeling. It literally was. I remember reading this. Look, I was at work. I was supposed to be working, but I wasn't. This is another example of Passing. And that main character, Angela, I always say it's the inconvenience of being Black. It's not that she hated being Black. It's the inconvenience. In 1920s, being Black, girl, we couldn't do nothing. So, yes, this, like I said, is my favorite author from the Harlem Renaissance, Jessie Redmond Fawcett. Next, y'all, this series had me on a chokehold. The Ethics series. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 books in the series, right? And I always say every time I pick this up and show y'all, I gotta get to the first 2, which I am gonna eventually get them, okay? But this is my second favorite series that is classified as an urban fiction. And I remember I listened to the first 2 and I was thinking, oh Lord, how am I gonna like it, actually physically reading the book, having a tangible copy? And it was no different, okay? Because I literally just picked this up on a whim. I have the Audible connected to Amazon or whatever. I got the little cheap one, and they had the first 2 on there, but not the rest. And I said, let me pick this up and see if I like it. Girl, that storyline and ethics and the way that Ashley Internet describes ethics, it was bad, y'all. I would finish this book in 3 or 4 days, and y'all know I read very, very slowly, very slowly. And every week, I remember it was every Friday I was going to Barnes and Noble and buying them. and I wanted to actually go to the store and get them, okay? And I would check and see if it was, at my Barnes & Noble. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't even want to wait a day, from Amazon. Girl, when I tell you I had a ball reading this, I read this last May. And it took over my whole May, okay? I put every book on the back burner because I wanted to know how this was going to end. Only thing I would say, she holds on to this story. This doesn't need to be 6 books in a series. This needs to be 3 books, okay? This author does have a thing where when she has, book series, she holds on to it. And it's like, girl, please. And with urban fiction, it's going to be shooting, it's going to be killing, a lot of sex. I mean, girl, some of the stuff she be coming up with is like, where you come up with that? Like, they do that, girl. But it's just so entertaining. She gets you on a chokehold because you want to know what's going to happen. I mean, it was like some points I'm like, oh, girl, like, I'm almost sick of Ethics and Alani, but I can't stop, reading about them. She gets you on that kick. So Ethics, fabulous. Next is another urban fiction series, which this was my first introduction to urban fiction. Well, no, it's not. That Coldest Winter Ever was, and I'm not a fan of Coldest Winter Ever, so I needed another, little theme of that. And Thug series. This is my favorite series from urban fiction of all time. I would say this is my favorite, and then Ethics is my second favorite. But them 4 girls, oh my goodness. And I like this because it's a different take on urban fiction, on the, when it comes to the storylines, where you have these girls that are like beyond brilliant. These girls go to Ivy League schools and everything, but their circumstances, they're a product of their environment because they deal with these hood, girl, I was gonna say hood. They deal with these hood men, and girl, that even though the men, they come legit, they get legit, but girl, you know how they do. This gives you a power. Y'all remember the show Power? It gives you that aspect, okay? And I loved every minute. I might pick this series back up again just to be in like the world, just in these girls' world. I would say the characters who got on my nerves, Trey and is it Tasha? They would just go back and forth. They kind of remind you of, y'all know Ray J, Brandy's brother. Ray J and Princess, you know how they break up, then they get back together. They call, we go divorce. Oh, we not go divorce. They give you that aspect, okay? My favorite is Angel and what's his name, Kay. But y'all, please read Thug series. No one really talks about this series, and y'all know this is up my alley. But if y'all trying to get into a good urban fiction series, and if y'all don't mind being held up, pick up Thug series. Next, Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. When I started getting back into reading, African literature got me all the way together. And it was to a point where I was literally watching interviews of her every single day. I just love Chimamanda. That intellect, and I love the fact that although sometimes she can say things that are kind of controversial, but she's not gonna back down. Her thing is, okay, you don't believe what I'm saying, that's fine, but I believe it. And she don't backtrack. But also what I like about her is her storytelling is unbelievable. She knows how to write a story. And you would think, if you do watch interviews of her, you read articles, I mean, she's such an intellect where you wouldn't expect her to write about just something as simple as like a love story. But her stories are about love. They're literally a love story. This is a love story, about Afemelu and Obenze. I mean, it really is. And I love the fact that she got into the mindset of, I would say, an African living in America. And just little things like when Afemelu first got to the States, and I think they were going shopping or something, and the salesperson asked her, oh, who helped you? And she said, oh, the black lady. And we wouldn't necessarily say that, but she didn't know. And the person with her was kind of looking like, girl, you don't say that, you know. Another thing that she does, she talks about topics in this book that we would talk about in the privacy of our home, but not in the public. And one topic that she talks about heavily, well, not even heavily, but she does bring it up, and it was such a breath of fresh air, is black hair. Girl, black hair is so complicated, it doesn't make any sense, okay? And if you are a black woman, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I have just now learned my hair and how to do it and the texture and everything. But she talks about that, okay? I mean, she talks about everything in this book, race, sexuality, but it's still entertaining. And like I said, the base of the story actually is a love story. This is my favorite book by her. I would say if you want to read a book by Chimamanda, Americanah is the one I would highly recommend. Next is a YA book. Oh my goodness. And it is Meet Me in Mumbai. I've been talking about Sabina Khan, girl. And she just came out with a book this year. Loved it. I forget that sometimes this is a YA because the fact that you have a young girl that's from India, that's in the States, she gets pregnant, she's unwed, a teenager, Muslim, Indian, and you have gotten pregnant, and then she's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Then she realized, you know what, I'm gonna give the baby up for adoption, and she does it on her own. And it's just to get in the mindset of a young scared woman. And you know, in India, like, if you're pregnant and unwed, that's like a no-no. And then don't be 17. I mean, girl, they shun you. And that was her thing. Like, I'm not going to be able to show my face at home. My parents are going to be devastated. And she had to make that grown-up choice. And girl, this just was so good. And also the fact that you get her daughter's perspective and her daughter being adopted. And I love everything that Sabina Khan writes. You really do learn about the Indian culture, you know, when it comes to the customs, when it comes to the food, when it comes to the dialect, just everything. Y'all, please pick this up. Please, please, please pick this up. Next, this is my favorite book of all times, y'all. And it is Praise Song for the Butterfly by Bernice L. McFadden. I am a Bernice L. McFadden, like, super fan. I've read all her books, have all her books, love her work. She's another writer where all her books are different. It's not the same, you know, character in a different setting. No. And this book, it's historical fiction, and it's talking about the Chukwazi system, which is basically slavery. And you have something called a shrine where you have girls, some girls are born there, or you have girls that, in this case, Obeyo was there because her family just wasn't doing well, and they believe that you sacrifice you know, a family member, that you would basically prosper. And it's called indentured servitude because you pay for your family sins, and it can be sins like lying, fornication, what else, adultery, or in this case it was like financial, you know, stability where they weren't financially stable. So yeah, but in this case, Obeyo actually gets out of the shrine. And y'all, this is so good. I can't even describe the feeling that I have for this book. I listened to this book, and after I listened to it, I got the physical copy and read it again. Yeah. Next, Vanishing Half. Now, I read this late because y'all know I don't like to read books when everyone reads the books. This came out, I remember, in 2020. I read this last year, and oh my goodness, I think I read this in I want to say a day, because it was so good. And it does, I think, reason why I liked it, because y'all know I love my, what do you call it, Harlem Renaissance. And this gets you in the mindset of passing and Wallace Thurman's Blacker the Berry. So if you like that, you would really like this. Y'all, this was so good. Them twins, and I have 2 copies of this book because after I was reading this one, this is my, you know, pretty copy. And I had to get another copy to highlight and annotate. And girl, that's when you know I love a book. This was so good, y'all. And I know everybody and their mama read this book. So, girl. And lastly, y'all know I talk about this author all the time. I'm always eating this author up. And it is Sadika Johnson, Yellow Wife. Y'all, why was it Monday? Because y'all know I got 3 copies of this. Girl, I picked up my paper book copy and was reading this again. I said, Lex, you got to read something else, okay? And I got to page like 60 something. I'm like, no, you can't read this again now. So I put it back. I said, let me read something else. Y'all, I don't even know how to describe this book. Like I told you, I got 3 copies. This is my one that I annotated and everything. And this is a book where every time a new edition comes, I will be getting it. I'm a Sadika Johnson fan. Like, girl, the last book that just came out in February, read it twice already, and it came out in February. Have 2 copies. And I know next year it's coming out in paperback, and you best believe I'm gonna get the paperback. So, yeah, girl. I mean, y'all know how much I talk about this book. Slavery. I was gonna say slavery at its best, Lord. No. The way she describes slavery in this book and enslaved people, it's a different take on that topic. And just, you feel like you are watching a movie when you're reading this book. That's all I gotta say. I can go on and on about this book. Y'all know how much I feel about, y'all know how much I love this book. So, yes. That's it when it comes to this video. Now that I went through this list, I'm going to have to revisit, look, almost all of these, okay? I'm thinking really about that Thug series. I think I might revisit that real soon. Yeah, guys, that's all I have for this video. I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.